At the end of the 19th century, the world was in the midst of a scientific and cultural revolution, and Sigmund Freud, a young Viennese doctor, found himself at the center of this transformation. In search of answers to the emotional and psychological challenges he faced, Freud encountered a substance that promised to alleviate the despondency, the pressure of studies, and the sadness that accompanied him. This substance was cocaine, a narcotic that at the time was little studied and shrouded in mystery. Originating from the coca leaves of Colombia, cocaine was seen as a promising novelty in the field of medicine. Its use as an experimental analgesic was beginning to gain attention, offering hope for curing various medical conditions. For Freud, who was constantly seeking innovative solutions to the problems of the human mind, it seemed to be the key to unlocking new therapeutic potential. To fully understand Sigmund Freud's complex relationship with the substance, it is essential to explore the historical and documentary references that illuminate this narrative. Freud's personal letters, especially those addressed to his fiancée Martha Bernays, offer an intimate view of his initial enthusiasm for the substance. In these correspondences, Freud describes the narcotic as a revolutionary discovery, expressing his belief in the drug's energetic and therapeutic potential. These letters not only reveal his hopes and expectations, but also highlight the confidence he placed in science as a means to transcend human limitations. In addition to the letters, the historical context of the narcotic's use in the 19th century is crucial to understanding Freud's perspective. At that time, the drug was a novelty in Western medicine, extracted from the coca leaves of South America and introduced to Europe as a potential remedy for a variety of ailments. Doctors and scientists were just beginning to explore its properties, and the substance was often promoted as a miracle tonic, capable of treating everything from depression to fatigue. This optimistic view, however, did not take into account the risks of addiction and the adverse effects that would soon become apparent. The initial enthusiasm for the new stimulant was widely shared by many in the medical community, reflecting a period of intense experimentation and scientific discovery. However, as cases of addiction and overdose began to emerge, the public and professional perception of the substance changed drastically. Freud, who had been one of the most prominent advocates of the substance, found himself at the center of a growing debate about the ethics and safety of experimental drug use. The introduction of the drug into Freud's life was not just a quest for personal relief, but also an attempt to explore the limits of medical knowledge of the time. He was determined to find a way to alleviate human suffering, both his own and that of his patients. However, this search for answers would lead him down a complex and controversial path, impacting not only his personal life, but also his career and the history of medicine. The beginning of Sigmund Freud's relationship with it was marked by an almost contagious enthusiasm, which he did not hesitate to share with his fiancée Martha Bernays. In a series of passionate letters, Freud described his initial experiences with the substance, highlighting its invigorating effects and the potential he saw in it to transform his personal and professional life. For Freud, cocaine was not just a medical curiosity. It was a promise of renewed energy and an antidote to the overwhelming pressures he faced. In his correspondences, Freud recounted to Martha how the substance provided him with a sense of vigor and mental clarity, something he believed was essential to achieving success in his medical career. He was convinced that he had found a solution to the episodes of depression and indigestion that frequently afflicted him, describing the substance as a powerful ally in his quest for balance and well-being. Freud began to consume the powder regularly, observing with satisfaction the positive effects it seemed to have on his mood and health. He believed that the product of the coca leaf could be the key to overcoming the physical and emotional limitations that prevented him from reaching his full potential. This conviction was reinforced by personal success stories, which he saw as evidence that he was on the right path. As Sigmund Freud delved deeper into his relationship with the narcotic, his initial enthusiasm evolved into a broader conviction about the substance's therapeutic potential. He not only used it for his own benefit, but also began to prescribe it to patients, family, and friends, including his fiancée, Martha Bernays. Freud firmly believed that it could offer relief for a variety of medical conditions, and his confidence in the substance led him to share it with those around him. Freud saw the substance as an almost magical solution to problems that had previously seemed intractable. In a published essay, he extolled its virtues, describing it as a substance with the power to transform medical practice. He was particularly interested in its use for treating heart disease, nervous exhaustion, and as a substitute for morphine, which at the time was widely used but highly addictive. Freud believed that it could offer a less harmful alternative, helping patients overcome morphine dependence without the debilitating side effects. Freud's prescription of the powder was motivated by his genuine therapeutic intentions. He was determined to explore all the possibilities the substance offered in the hope of alleviating human suffering. This approach reflected his commitment to medical innovation and his willingness to challenge established norms in search of new solutions. However, Freud's confidence in the narcotic also led him to underestimate the potential risks associated with its use. He was so focused on the immediate benefits the substance seemed to offer that he did not fully consider the long-term consequences. This phase of broad and enthusiastic prescription marked a crucial point in Freud's trajectory, highlighting both his pioneering spirit and the ethical complexities involved in introducing new medical therapies. As cocaine gained popularity, the first shadows of controversy began to form, foreshadowing the challenges Freud would face in his journey with the substance. Sigmund Freud's enthusiasm for the hallucinogen reached a peak when he reported a successful case in treating a patient addicted to morphine. This patient, who suffered from the debilitating effects of dependency, seemed to find relief through the narcotic, which Freud prescribed as a less harmful substitute. This case was seen by Freud as a validation of his theories about the therapeutic potential of the narcotic, reinforcing his belief that the substance could revolutionize the treatment of addictions and other medical conditions. With reports like this, the stimulant began to gain popularity in Europe. Initially well received by both the medical community and the general public, the substance was seen as a promising innovation, capable of offering solutions to problems that had previously seemed insoluble. However, this initial acceptance soon gave way to growing concern, as alarming reports of addiction and overdose deaths associated with its use began to emerge. The controversy surrounding the hallucinogen began to intensify, and Freud, who had been one of its most fervent advocates, found himself at the center of a heated debate. A doctor specializing in morphine addiction accused Freud of being responsible for the spread of the drug's use, claiming that his promotion of the narcotic had contributed to an increase in cases of abuse and dependency. These accusations placed Freud in a difficult position, forcing him to confront the unintended consequences of his actions. The situation highlighted the complexities and dangers inherent in introducing new substances into the medical field, especially those with potential for abuse. For Freud, the initial success he had experienced with the substance was overshadowed by a darker reality, where the risks outweighed the perceived benefits. This phase of his relationship with the narcotic served as a stark reminder of the need for caution and responsibility in exploring new treatments, a lesson that would resonate deeply in his career and in the history of medicine. The case of Ernst von Fleischl-Marxow is one of the most emblematic and tragic episodes in the history of Sigmund Freud's relationship with the drug, illustrating the complex intersections between friendship, medical innovation, and the unintended consequences of experimental treatments. Ernst, a talented physiologist and close friend of Freud, saw his life change drastically after an accident left him with unbearable chronic pain. In search of relief, Ernst turned to morphine, a common practice at the time, but which quickly led him to a state of severe dependency. Freud, driven both by his friendship with Ernst and his enthusiasm for its therapeutic possibilities, suggested the use of the substance as an alternative to treat morphine addiction. At that time, Freud believed that cocaine could offer a less harmful solution, helping Ernst overcome his dependency without the debilitating side effects associated with morphine. This recommendation was made with the best of intentions, reflecting Freud's confidence in the ability of science to offer new solutions to old problems. However, reality proved to be cruelly different from Freud's expectations. Instead of freeing Ernst from his dependency, the substance introduced a new cycle of addiction, further aggravating his physical and mental condition. Ernst began to struggle not only against the original pain and morphine dependency, but also against the effects of the new narcotic, which became a new source of torment. Ernst's situation deteriorated rapidly, and he found himself trapped in a vicious cycle of dependency that he could not break. Ernst, who had been a close friend and intellectual collaborator of Freud, died prematurely at the age of 45, after years of battling morphine and cocaine dependency. His death was not only a devastating personal loss for Freud, but also a moment of painful introspection and guilt. Freud, who had prescribed the drug to Ernst in the hope of alleviating his morphine addiction, saw his well-intentioned actions result in disastrous consequences. Ernst's death brought to light the harsh reality of the risks associated with using experimental substances without a complete understanding of their long-term effects. For Freud, Ernst's tragedy was a bitter reminder of the limitations of medical knowledge at the time and the ethical responsibilities that come with the practice of medicine. The guilt Freud felt over Ernst's death was exacerbated by the later revelation that Ernst was, in fact, the anonymous patient mentioned in his studies on the therapeutic use of the drug. This revelation shed new light on the challenges and dilemmas faced by Freud in his quest for innovative solutions to human suffering. Ernst's case became an emblematic example of the complexities involved in introducing new medical treatments, especially those involving substances with potential for abuse. Freud, who began his journey with the product of the coca leaf, driven by a genuine desire to alleviate human suffering, found himself confronted with the harsh realities of the limitations of medical knowledge at the time. The tragedy of Ernst von Fleischl-Marxow, among other cases, highlighted the critical need for thorough studies and a cautious approach when introducing new substances into medical treatment. This painful experience taught Freud, and all of us, the importance of balancing enthusiasm for innovation with careful consideration of potential risks and the ethical responsibilities involved. The story of Freud and cocaine serves as a powerful reminder of the inherent complexity of medical practice and the need for a continuous commitment to rigorous research and professional ethics. As we reflect on this narrative, we are invited to consider the lessons learned and apply them to contemporary challenges in medicine and science. We invite you to join this reflection by sharing your opinions and insights in the comments. What are your perspectives on the ethical dilemmas faced by Freud? How can we apply these lessons to the development and use of new therapies today? Your voice is essential to enrich this discussion and help shape a future where medical innovation is guided by principles of responsibility and care.